Well, I just am so inspired by your story. I know you're an amazing musician, and you're in top 8 of American Idol.
Yeah.
But what I really love is your book, By Faith, Not by Sight.
Thank you.
And I just want to go back to a chapter in your book where, you were 19, you were graduating from college, about to make a speech, and you talked about in the book it was the best day and the worst day of your life.
Yeah,
So
all rolled
happened?
into one,
Yeah.
I was, well, a lot of people know me from American Idol probably, and what you know is that I've been blind since birth. And so, going on American Idol, people were really inspired by what I overcame in order to get to that point. But there's a lot more to my story that I've never talked about, which is what you're referring to in the book. At 19 years old, I was graduating from college. I went to college a little bit early, and was graduating with all these honors. I was a Marshall Scholar and a Fulbright Scholar, and I felt like, in a very real way, I had overcome my disability and learned to live a full life in spite of that. God had taken me through so much already. But on that very graduation day, after giving the commencement speech to my fellow graduates, I walked out into the parking lot, and my dad was just getting off a cell phone call. And that's the moment I found out that I had end-stage kidney failure. Mm-hmm. The future that I was so excited for was now very unclear to me. And I was, at first, I was very frustrated. I almost felt like it was wrong for God to ask me to go through that too, after everything I had overcome with my disability. But over the next weeks and months and years, dealing with that and coming through it, I learned to trust God at such a deeper level than I ever had before. I literally had to walk by faith, not by sight. The title of the book. I had to trust Him when I could not see where I was going whatsoever.
And I want to talk about that in that time when you were facing almost like a death sentence, and you had your dreams in front of you. How did your faith really help you get through that? How did you continue to press through?
It was either trust God or nothing. It was one thing to grow up with a disability and not be able to play baseball or drive a car or see when a girl was smiling at me, But I learned to work around those things and to have a full life anyway. But then when you face a life-threatening illness, it's kind of a different thing, I found out. It was so hard for me. Eventually, I ended up on dialysis. Yeah. And if you know about that, it's a very intense process. And I was strapped to a machine 3 times at least a week. I couldn't see any conceivable way God would ever be able to bring me out of that to tour again or to sit here and tell this story. But I trusted that He would. I trusted that He had some plan that I didn't know about.
And I want to talk about that. So it was almost a 2-year battle for you, but then a miracle came through, and what happened?
In 2007, amidst all this struggle and uncertainty, He provided a miracle, literally. The wife of my former piano instructor from Arizona State University donated her kidney to me and saved my life. And
then 2 years later,
well, 2 years later, I was actually, it was less than a year later, I auditioned for American Idol. And I was just grateful to be on any stage, let alone the American Idol stage.
Yeah, I love about your story is you talked about 2 years after your transplant, you were touring American Idol, thousands of people, and you just thought, wow, God has brought me through. What was going through your mind at that point? You never thought you'd be standing here, but here you are.
I remember that day. I was in an arena somewhere. I don't remember what city I was in, but I remember standing on the stage with over 10,000 people out there in the crowd in this arena with my hand on a grand piano beside me on the stage. And I was talking to the audience, and I just couldn't believe that I had come from that place, just laying on the floor helpless in my living room, to now standing in front of 10,000 people sharing my talent again in a way I never thought I would be able to do. And it was just a moment that really reminded me of God's sovereignty and His power in our weakness. And I really had to cling on to the hope of His promises through that entire time of struggle. And
Yes.
he surprised me more than I ever thought he would. He had something so amazing, waiting on the other side. You know, when you experience the best that life has to offer and the worst that life has to offer, the thing that I love to challenge people is, you know, it's easy to be thankful when you're on American Idol, when you're on that stage, or you know, when you've written a book or when you do a CD. But I've really learned, and I've tried to learn to be thankful in the tough times too.
Yes.
And I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone, but I would not change a single day of it, because God brought me so close to him through that time of weakness, and taught me to have faith in him no matter what.